Hello, welcome to our RecapPlus channel with me Matthew. Today we will watch a recap movie called Halloween. Released in 2018. This is a spoiler content video, so please turn on the subtitle and let's start the story. The movie begins by introducing a 10-year-old boy named Michael Myers, who resides in Illinois. Michael faces difficulties in his home and school due to his shyness and unique nature. His mother, Deborah, works as a well-known exotic dancer in the city. Michael engages in peculiar behavior, such as killing and dissecting animals while dressed as a Halloween clown. His most recent victim was his pet mouse. While Michael is engaged in his unusual activities, we witness his mother, Deborah, preparing a meal for the family. Her boyfriend, Ronnie, is boisterous and angry, and consumes alcohol excessively. He mistreats Deborah and makes disrespectful remarks about her teenage daughter, Judith, and her infant daughter, Boo. Whenever Ronnie raises his voice, Boo starts crying. Meanwhile, Michael comes downstairs wearing his clown mask and informs his mother about the death of his pet mouse. His mother attempts to console him and promises to get a new one, but she doesn't inquire about how the mouse died. Just then, Ronnie instructs Michael to remove his clown mask, and when Michael refuses, Ronnie forcibly takes it off his face. Later, at school, Michael encounters a bully named Wesley and his companion in the restroom. They make cruel remarks about Michael's mother's occupation as a stripper, which deeply upsets him. Michael becomes agitated and shouts, "Shut up," before engaging in a fight with the bullies on his own. Eventually, the principal enters the restroom and intervenes to stop the altercation. In a whirlwind of trouble, an enraged Michael unleashes a torrent of swear words at the principal, landing all three kids in detention. Just when things couldn't get worse, Deborah storms into the school. But instead of scolding her son, she unleashes a fiery tirade at the principal, placing the blame squarely on his shoulders. To her surprise, the principal reveals a startling truth: Michael is no ordinary child, he's special in a disturbing way. To shed light on Michael's troubling behavior, an appointment is arranged with Dr. Sam Loomis, a renowned child psychologist. During their meeting, Dr. Loomis unveils a shocking revelation to Deborah, disturbing evidence of Michael's cruel treatment towards animals, hinting at something far more sinister. It turns out that the principal stumbled upon a deceased cat hidden in Michael's school bag, along with horrifying images of animal mutilation. Dr. Loomis explains that these gruesome acts are red flags indicative of a deeply disturbed mind finding pleasure in violence. Meanwhile, Michael flees from school and encounters Wesley, the bully, deep within the ominous woods. Without warning, he unleashes his pent-up rage upon Wesley, viciously attacking him with a hefty tree branch. As Wesley crumples to the ground, writhing in agony and tears, he pleads desperately for mercy. But the monstrous boy, consumed by a dark force, only grows more ferocious, ultimately claiming Wesley's life. That evening, Michael returns home, awaiting his sister, Judith, to take him trick-or-treating. Unbeknownst to them, their mother urgently calls upon Judith to watch over her brother as she prepares to depart for work. However, as soon as their mom departs, Judith's boyfriend, Stephen, pays a visit, and the two of them head upstairs for some excitement. Meanwhile, Michael, consumed by loneliness and frustration, slips on his mask and ventures outside. But before long, he returns to discover Ronnie, his mother's boyfriend, dozing in a chair, an opportunity tailor-made for the sinister child to exact his revenge. He binds Ronnie to the chair using tape and swiftly brings a knife into play, bringing an end to his life. Later on, as Judith's boyfriend, Steve, descends to the kitchen to whip up some sandwiches, he unknowingly steps into Michael's sights. Seizing the moment, Michael seizes a metal bat and mercilessly strikes Steve on the head. With Steve writhing on the floor, Michael watches momentarily before delivering relentless blows until his life slips away. Driven by a dark impulse, Michael ascends the stairs and stumbles upon his slumbering sister, Judith, in her room. Removing his clown mask, he dons Steve's eerie Halloween mask, casting an eerie pallor. Just as Judith awakens and catches sight of Michael's presence, her agitation mounts, demanding answers. When met with silence, she slaps him in frustration. Ignited by a blaze of fury, Michael plunges a knife into his sister's abdomen, extinguishing her life. As their mother finally returns from work, she discovers Michael sitting on the front porch, cradling their infant sister in a state of frantic urgency. She probes for an explanation as to why he is outside at such a late hour, yet Michael remains ominously silent, drowned out only by the piercing wail of approaching police sirens. The very next day, Michael is convicted of committing the most heinous crime, first-degree murder. He is swiftly sent to a mental hospital where Dr. Loomis takes charge of his care. Despite the horrifying acts he committed, Michael cunningly pretends to have no recollection of them. Deborah faithfully visits him week after week, but it becomes apparent that Michael's condition is deteriorating. Time passes, and he continues to deceive the doctors with his facade. During a session with Dr. Loomis, Michael unveils a new mask he crafted for himself. He confesses that he wears it to conceal the ugliness within. One fateful day, after a long absence, Deborah arrives at the hospital yearning for a connection with her troubled son. However, she is met with silence and an increased sense of isolation from Michael. In a desperate attempt to bring him solace, Deborah presents an old photograph of him with his baby sister, urging him to hang it in his room. But the wickedness within him remains unresponsive. After the session, Dr. Loomis escorts Michael to the care of a nurse, leaving Deborah to depart from the sanitarium. Little do they know that this ill-fated decision would unleash chaos. Left alone with the nurse, Michael's aggression escalates, leading him to mercilessly stab her with a fork, ending her life. News of this shocking incident reaches Deborah and Dr. Loomis, leaving them utterly speechless. Deborah, especially devastated, is now forced to confront the horrifying truth about her son's capabilities. In the aftermath, Deborah returns home, seeking solace in the memories captured in old films showcasing Michael's innocent childhood. Overwhelmed by grief, she reflects tearfully upon the past and questions her role as a mother. The weight of her anguish becomes unbearable, driving her to commit an unspeakable act. As the story unfolds, we are transported 15 years into the future. Michael, now an imposing figure, remains confined within the walls of the mental hospital, his dark secrets locked away since his last killing spree. Michael has fallen silent and occupies himself by crafting eerie masks. Dr. Loomis, his former therapist, has abandoned any hope of rehabilitating him and instead penned a best-selling book branding him as an irredeemable embodiment of evil. One fateful night, while engrossed in his mask making, two janitors intrude upon Michael's cell and assault a defenseless female inmate. Unfazed, Michael carries on with his work. However, once the janitors conclude their despicable act, a sudden transformation takes hold. Michael swiftly seizes one of the assailants and hurls him against a table, followed by a brutal assault on the other janitor, pummeling him relentlessly and smashing his head against the wall. The commotion alerts Ismail, the long-standing guard responsible for Michael's care since childhood. Rushing to the scene, Ismail is confronted by a gruesome sight, two lifeless bodies drenched in blood. With a sinking realization, Ismail understands the horror that has unfolded. Attempting to guide the monster back to his cell, Ismail faces a swift and merciless demise at the hands of Michael, who employs a television set as his instrument of destruction. Having unleashed a grisly massacre, Michael escapes the confines of the asylum, fueled by an insatiable hunger for further havoc. In the subsequent sequence, Michael arrives at a truck stop and engages in a brutal altercation with a driver. Each blow against the wall brings the driver closer to his demise until his life is extinguished. Michael discards his own attire and appropriates the driver's overalls as dawn breaks, coinciding with the chilling atmosphere of Halloween. Michael returns to his abandoned family home in Haddonfield, an eerie monument untouched since his mother's passing. Within its walls, Michael retrieves his treasured butcher knife and secures his haunting mask. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Laurie Strode, a commendable college student residing in Haddonfield, oblivious to the impending nightmare that awaits her. One fateful day, Laurie's father, a real estate agent, assigns her the task of delivering some papers to the notorious Myers residence, a house believed to be haunted by the locals. Unbeknownst to Laurie, her father is attempting to sell the property. As she completes the delivery, Michael catches a glimpse of her, and his curiosity is piqued. From that moment on, he becomes a shadowy presence, silently stalking Laurie and even infiltrating her college life. While Laurie often feels isolated, her time is mostly consumed by babysitting a neighborhood boy. In contrast, her friends, Linda and Annie, enjoy popularity and are adored by their peers. When Halloween night arrives, Annie persuades Laurie to look after her son, James, so she can spend time with her boyfriend. Meanwhile, Linda joins a party held at the infamous Myers house. Unbeknownst to them, Michael is present, carefully observing their every move, preparing to strike. Seizing an opportune moment when Linda's boyfriend briefly steps away, Michael launches a sudden attack, snuffing out his life without mercy. Linda becomes his next victim, facing the same cruel fate. With a growing appetite for violence, Michael then sets his sights on Laurie's home. While she embarks on her babysitting job, Michael brutally murders her parents, leaving a wake of devastation in his wake. Undeterred, he continues his terrifying rampage, arriving at Annie's residence where she and her boyfriend are engrossed in their own pleasure. In a display of sheer brutality, Michael ruthlessly ends the boyfriend's life and subjects Annie to unimaginable horror. Later, as Laurie arrives at Annie's house with James in tow, they stumble upon an unimaginable nightmare. Annie trembles in shock, partially undressed, her boyfriend's lifeless body suspended from the ceiling. Amid the chilling scene, Michael suddenly emerges, his intentions unmistakably clear, as he launches a ferocious attack on Laurie. Managing to escape, they flee, but their respite is short-lived as they are swiftly pursued and attacked. In the meantime, Dr. Loomis receives the alarming news of Michael's escape. With urgency in his veins, he races to Haddonfield, beseeching the local sheriff to acknowledge the imminent threat posed by Michael Myers' return. Desperate to locate Laurie, the sheriff frantically reaches out to her, only to be met with unanswered calls. After digging deeper, he uncovers a shocking truth. Laurie is Michael's sister, adopted following a harrowing incident involving their mother, Deborah. Dr. Loomis realizes that Michael is well aware of this revelation, which fuels his relentless stalking of Laurie. Fearing for her life, the doctor makes a crucial decision to venture into the dark confines of the Myers residence. Meanwhile, we discover that Laurie, though still alive, is being held captive. The deranged psychopath momentarily relinquishes his knife and presents her with a photograph from their childhood. However, as a mere baby at the time, Laurie fails to comprehend or recollect the significance of the picture. Seizing a moment of opportunity, she summons her courage and drives a blade into Michael's neck, managing to escape into the backyard. Regrettably, her attack has little effect on his formidable physique. Laurie becomes the target of her unhinged brother's relentless pursuit, eventually finding herself cornered in an empty swimming pool. Miraculously, the doctor arrives just in the nick of time, pleading with Michael to halt his rampage. Yet, as his pleas fall on deaf ears, the doctor is left with no choice but to unleash a volley of bullets into the psychopath's back. Attempting to flee, the doctor and Laurie are astounded as Michael rises once again, shattering the car's windshield. He forcibly drags her out, poised to deliver a fatal blow. However, the doctor, driven by desperation, implores Michael to release Laurie. Astonishingly, Michael relents, relinquishing his grip and surrendering Laurie into the doctor's care. The psychopath seizes the doctor, savagely ending his life amidst the chaos. Laurie seizes a nearby gun and makes a daring escape upstairs. The relentless psychopath relentlessly pursues her, trapping her on a balcony. Their struggle reaches its peak as he forcefully tackles her through a window, sending them both hurtling over the railing. After a while, Laurie regains consciousness, finding herself on top of an unconscious Michael. Acting swiftly, she takes aim with the gun and fires a shot. But her shock intensifies as he suddenly awakens and grips her wrist. Unfazed, Laurie remains determined, unleashing a relentless barrage of shots. The movie climaxes with Laurie, drenched in blood, screaming in a mix of horror and triumph. Finally, the reign of Michael Myers comes to a chilling end. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. You can also click on the videos on your screen to watch more interesting videos. And please share your thoughts about today's video in the comments down below. Lastly, always remember to stay safe and stay healthy. See you in the next video.